YouTube पे live. Nice.
Okay, the next chapter is Akku. Let's have a discussion on note on the
Sir,
author.
what's your channel, sir?
And then
Let me क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Subscribe.
I will tell later. Now
So
just
what's your
listen to
channel?
me. I will share the link later. Now just listen to me. If you have any issues, you just chat. Don't talk in between. Okay, note on the author. Janaki Srinivasa Murthy, better known by a pen name Vaidehi, is a well-known Kannada fiction writer and poet. She was born in 1945 in Kundapura, Dakshina Kannada district, Karnataka. Her writings generally depict the plight of women in an indignant and rebellious tone. Akku is a short story taken from one of her collections, Antarangada Puttagalu. Okay, the next chapter is Akku. Let's have a discussion on note on the
Sir,
author.
what's your channel, sir? Let me
It was translated by Kannada by C. Vimla Rao. So the text is visible to you people, right? Is this chapter done for you? Is this chapter completed?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Then Gurpreet is messaging that it's completed.
सर वो एक्चुअली उस दिन
No,
गलती से दूसरी क्लास में चल रही थी तो वहाँ का बता रही है.
Gurpreet,
नहीं भाई sir.
is it completed or not?
Actually, I guess ये author का कहीं और भी पढ़े इसलिए कंफ्यूज हो गए. कोई नहीं, वापस पढ़ लेते हैं.
तो ऐसे तो प्रीतम सर और भी क्लास पढ़ाए हैं.
Others.
नो सर, नहीं हुआ है सर. कहाँ चल रही है?
नहीं हुआ है.
Okay.
No, sir.
So we found attention.
Actually, I guess.
Okay. It was translated from Kannada by C. Vimla Rao. Note on the translator. C. Vimla Rao is a noted translator and one of the few critics who have written about the women writers in India. Her works include translations like Cage of Arrows, She Who Lost and Won, and many others. Note on the lesson. The story is about a middle-aged woman named Akku who rebels against the world in an assumed state of madness. Akku's good-for-nothing husband disappears and she goes around imagining that she is pregnant and at one point has also given birth to a child. It is Akku's indomitable spirit that doesn't let her to become an object of sympathy as well as laughing stock. Ajaya controls every breath of the family, but Akku lives her life on her own terms. The thin line dividing the truth and untruth is blurred, and Akku is portrayed as a victim of patriarchy. Glossary: Kunkuma refers to vermilion worn by married women on their forehead. Gallivanting, go around from one place to another in pursuit of pleasure or entertainment. Chikapa, father's younger brother. Chiki, Chikapa's wife. Dodajaya, eldest grandfather. These are all Kannada terms for different relatives. Dodate, eldest aunt. Entourage, a group of people attending or surrounding an important person. Trellis, a framework of light wooden or metal bars used as a support for creepers. Abbalige, firecracker flower, also known as Kankambara in Kannada. Iruvantige, a type of jasmine flower known for its strong fragrance. Yakshagana, folk art of coastal districts and Malenadu region of Karnataka. Lianas, a woody climbing, usually tropical plant. Addadmane, a house besides one's house. Hanuman, a mythological character in Ramayana. Sannyasi, a Hindu ascetic who survives on charity. Emaciated, abnormally weak because of illness or lack of food. Haravana, a type of plant. Acquiescing, expressing agreement. Randy, having rude or aggressive manner. So these are the questions. So as I told you earlier, while you are studying the text, you should be aware of the type of questions that are asked. How would Akku react when someone asked about her husband? Why did Akku pluck out the flowers from Siriyate's hair? What led Sankappa to take up the sannyasi life? Explain the significance of Tuval in Akku's life. Why do family members sympathize with Akku? What were the repercussions of Akku's make-believe pregnancies? How does Akku confront people who try to make fun of her? Siriyate shared a special relationship with Akku. Elaborate. Describe the circumstances that led to Vasu Chikkappa beating Akku. Akku represents the rebellious voices of women, which are often reduced to insanity by patriarchal society. Discuss. So you should understand Akku in the context of negative aspects of patriarchy. Many a times, small kids after their birth they are taken away from their from its mother. Okay, so that time also it leads to lot of psychological impact on the mother. Similarly, Aku also has undergone a psychological problem in her life. Her husband has left her in between, so she is unable to bear that shock. Out of that, she has these psychological issues. You can't call her as a mad woman, but she has psychological issues. At times she will be all right like a normal woman. At times she has this psychological problem. So, lesson 4, Akku by Vaidehi. Akku had a big kunkuma on her forehead, but she had no husband. There is a black bead chain around her neck. Keeping that black bead chain in a corner of the Nagandike, a wooden shelf in the wall, Akku is also given to the habit of gallivanting everywhere. So the very first line is striking. So questioning patriarchy. See, Akku has a big kunkuma on her forehead, but she has no husband. Usually, among the Hindu tradition, the tradition that is followed is only women who has a husband can have this kunkuma on the forehead. But now people are overcoming that those stereotypes. So in the very first line, the author makes a striking difference, striking gives a striking information that this is questioning. This text questions notions of patriarchy. So when you consider the traditional Hindu society, where each and every aspects of Hindu life is dominated by the rules and regulations, here the author strikes it out in the very first line. So he says, and Akku is also given to the habit of gallivanting everywhere, means moving around everywhere. Akku, where is your husband? When somebody queried, she could drive them to the brink of extinction. Not always. Sometimes she may even huddle as if brooding. At other times, whatever the provocation, she has a way of smirking, crookedly shaking her head and keeping a silence. So many a times, we human beings are not sympathetic towards the less privileged. Though people knew that is facing psychological issues, they kept on mocking at her. They used to ask her, "Where is your husband?" Despite knowing the fact that she has undergone a psychological problem after her husband left her. So, what was the Akku's response to such type of questions? At times she used to be angry, at times she used to keep quiet, at times she used to respond. She was always to be seen with the tuwal in her hand. According to her, tuwal was a handkerchief, a man's handkerchief. Hopefully, it could be that of her husband. Nobody knows whose it is, how it came into her hand. There was not even any need to bother one's head about it. It was just accepted that Akku always went with this tuwal. Dropping it, misplacing it, losing it, there was no other occupation for Akku than to eternally keep searching for it. Let the dogs and wolves go eat the housework. She would not cease searching for the tuwal, poking into every nook and corner again and again. Brooding means thinking about it. Not always, sometimes she may even huddle as if brooding. Okay, here the next para talks about the usage of towel. We had a question on this also. So if you summarize this para, it will be more than sufficient for that question. So she says she was always to be seen with a tuwal in her hand, as if, see, one can easily guess that tuwal belongs to her husband. Just like how she do not want to give up on her husband, she didn't want to give up on her husband's handkerchief. So if she forgot and misplaced it somewhere, she used to search for it like anything, as if it is a precious thing for her. In Ajaya's house, no one is independent. So this is the context of a joint family. In a joint family, usually the eldest male of the family, the patriarch, is superior, and everybody should seek his permission. In Ajaya's house, no one is independent. If anyone has a voice, it is only Vasu Chikappa. Means only Vasu Chikappa had some guts to question Ajaya's decisions or to talk to Ajaya. If anyone dares to speak up, it is only his wife, that is Banu Chiki. So Vasu and Banu are spouses. If there is anyone fearing nobody, it is Dodajaya's younger sister, that is Dodate. See, you will get factual questions on this. Who was not afraid of anybody? Who used to question, like that? You have to answer these answers. For everyone, she is Dodate. If there is anyone without any constraints, whosoever, it is Akku, Potu, a dummy. Means different family members had different kind of restrictions, but there was one family member who didn't have any kind of restriction. That is Akku. Akko didn't have any restrictions. She didn't care for anybody. How else will she roam around as she will? They would only murmur. How else will she pass her time and excuse her? A dummy does not mean that there was a real dumbness from the very beginning. Others in the house were there to churn the buttermilk, salt and spice the curry, fetch the water, dress up in silks and jewelry to attend marriages and upanayanams, etc. The men attended to the business and reported to Ajaya, stood as the pillars in the house without opening their lips in spite of the burdensome responsibilities. So the main other aspect that led Akku to roam around freely was there were a lot of domestic helps to take care of the household chores, and the male members of the family looked into the outside business. And since everybody knew about Akku's position, nobody tried to question her. They sympathized with her. Some even sympathized with her. Going unchecked in this manner, Akku had not missed a single dinner invitation in anybody's house. With a face sagging on the right side, lusterless eyes restlessly darting around, lips forever attempting to close over prominent buck teeth, even less than 4 feet in height. Akku stuffing snuff into her nostrils, rubbing the towel vigorously like a hacksaw across her nose, wiping the face all over with a hand and smearing her sari with it, her long sari. When she set out like this, there were many who quipped, spread out the mat, wave around the hand fan. So here they are describing the everyday activities routine of Akku. They say the author says that Akku never missed any invitation for lunch or dinner. Okay, it could be a naming ceremony, birth or marriage or whatever function it is. She used to get ready. And here you have also a physical description of Akku, that she is very short, just 4 feet in height. A few made bold to ask her to the face, "Where is the entourage headed?" So in Indian village colloquial terms, they ask, "Where is this procession heading?" Like that. They used to ask Akku, "Where is the procession or entourage headed?" If she was in a proper mood, she might answer. Otherwise, rudely snapping, "To your grandfather's funeral," she would spring away on her toes like a spirit. See, you should visualize in a rural cultural setup how people respond on the face. So if she was in good mood, she used to answer that where she was going to. Otherwise, she used to say, "I'm going to your grandfather's funeral. Are you going to come along with me or not?" Once she fell to her foot without raising a lowered head. The food was just demolished. She took great care in receiving the baksha, the specialty sweets, in her left hand, wrapping them up in that same snuff soaked towel and bringing them home, sitting by herself in a corner on the front porch and finishing them by gobbling them all down without even dropping a crumb for the crows. See again, once she fell to her foot without raising her lowered head, the food was just demolished. Means what? Even you should understand. You should visualize a woman who has psychological issues and how she is gobbling up the food. Okay, so without dropping even a single grain of rice on the floor, she gobbled up everything. The dinner invitations that she never missed were for Simanta, that is baby shower, performed in the 7th month of pregnancy, where food was served to fulfill the cravings of the pregnant one, and for the ceremony of naming the baby. So the dinner or lunch invitations, be it for baby shower or naming ceremony, she never missed. Following the custom of the expectant woman, adoring her hair with a trellis of floral strings, tied with 7 varieties of flowers like jasmine, abbalige, chrysanthemum, iruvantige, etc., and looking like someone crushed under the load, she sat near the pregnant young woman and would not budge. See, you should also understand the innocence of this Akku. Let's say whenever she used to attend the baby shower or even naming ceremony, it's not that she went there for food. She just wanted to be part of those activities, those functions which she is denied of. See, though she is married, she couldn't experience this baby shower or even naming ceremony. Therefore, what she used to do, she used to go and sit next to the a person who is undergoing this baby shower, or next to the cradle where the naming ceremony is happening. And even when many opposed her to move away, she refused to do it. Budge means refuse to accept. She would not budge means heed, consider, consider the suggestion or opinion. When those who were unacquainted with her or someone from the young woman's family might frown and object to her presence and say, "Who is this woman looking like a dissolved haired Devama, a demigoddess?" Means is looking like a devil. Many used to criticize her. Send her outside. And someone from her own family might fearfully murmur, "Akku, come sit here out there." Akku turned a deaf ear to them. She was like that even when she went to the naming ceremony. It was only at the time of returning home that she would let go of the cradle rope that she had gripped in her hand to rock the cradle. So here, in indirect manner, she also wanted to experience motherhood, but it is denied to her. See, through note on the text, we also get to know that she visualized that she also has delivered a baby. So, on a psychological level, she thinks that it is her own baby and she is rocking the cradle. Akku, all the crows, then, but although she sang full throatedly, some people around, where did I stop? Okay, she might even sing a lullaby or two after all the guests had left. But although she sang full throatedly, some people around had to snigger and make a snide comment. Akku, all the crows had flown to the window to listen to your cuckoo voice, you know. So when the program was about to end, when when the guests left, she used to sing songs depending on the context, and people there who listened to her, they used to mock at her, saying that all the crows have come to the near the window listening to your cuckoo voice. Otherwise, they would not be able to sleep that night. It was on one such occasion that Siriate's marriage took place. About an incident that happened on the wedding day, it has to be heard in Siriate's own words. The groom's party had arrived. There was no one near me when I was waiting. Everyone had hurried away with the wedding chowdhury. I was feeling a bit frightened. At the time, Akku came in. "Oh, Akku," I exclaimed. "We can say that did it." Who, is this Akku or her shadow?" Akku answered back sharply. She stood at a little distance and she stared hard at me. "Why have you decorated yourself like this?" she demanded. I did not speak. Her voice broke out shrilly. I sat looking at her. "Come here," she said. "Why?" I questioned. "If I say come, you should come," she said. At first I thought I should call someone, but then also felt maybe not. So here, Siriate is describing her own personal experiences with Akku. She was about to get married and the groom was expected to come. During that time, Akku enters the bride's room, that is Siriate's room, and looking at the Siriate being decorated, Akku summons her, asks her to come and demands that she should come. Then, "Akku, aren't you well?" I asked. Without any word, she rushed forward, plucked out the flowers that had adorned my hair before I could even blink my eyes, and said, "Enough of this beautification." See, what does Akku do? You can imagine or visualize how a bride is decorated with flowers. What Akku does is she removes all the flowers. She tears open all the makeup. "Enough of this beautification. If he marries you because of your beauty, for certain he will not stay by you. Write that on the wall." So here Akku seems to be conveying her own personal experiences. Since her husband has also left, she feels that if a woman tries to beautify herself in an artificial manner, and beauty being time bound, you can't be beautiful throughout. Okay, she feels that if a man marries you because of your beauty, once your beauty fades, he will move away from you. That is what she intend to convey. Therefore, she removes the flowers that are decorated her hairs. Then, "I tell you honestly, I was struck dumb. Although a little short, she was somewhat good looking." Akku was, but at that moment she seemed like a big demon. Just for a second. But then she was none else than Akku. I felt very sorry, not because the flowers were pulled out, but because the flowers were pulled out, but because of the drained face of Akku. See, this Siriate sympathized and empathized with Akku's situation. She felt, though she is short, she is good looking, but since her husband left her, she is under this psychological trauma. And being sympathetic, she didn't feel sorry for herself for undoing this decoration. She felt sorry for Akku's situation. When she looked at her Akku's face, she could see the drained face of Akku. Drained face means she could feel Akku's pain when her husband is left. How stiflingly hot. She fanned herself with one hand, wiped her face all over with her towel in her other hand, and she walked out of the room. If I had reported about this happening to Vasu, would he have left her alone? He would have beaten her up, put her in the dark room, and bolted the door. In front of all those guests in the wedding house, eyeing each other and vying with each other in their splendor, how could Akku be allowed freely in their midst with the abrasive rubbing of her nostrils all the time with a towel? So she thinks that if she had informed Vasu, that is her fiancé, about this, she felt that Vasu would have locked her up, because you can't let this woman who has this psychological problems to move around during a wedding ceremony. So again, they make a comment about Akku's inhalation of the snuff into her nose. Then Dodate then came in, scolded me roundly, quite unheeding of my being the bride, combed my hair once again and bedecked it with flowers. All the problems that created by Akku were undone by Dodate. She again decorated her hair. The day Siriate was to leave home after her wedding, Akku threw tantrum. Means it's a normal custom that once a bride gets married, she is expected to go to the husband's home. At that time, when Siriate was going to Vasu's home, Akku threw tantrum. Means she made lot of objections, started shouting, "Where did my husband die?" She is reminded of her own personal life. So these are the lines that Akku says: "Where did my husband die? Bring him back to me this instant." She kept on repeating only these words, nothing else. Beating the air, beating the heavens again and again with a towel, she wailed. Vasu Chikkapaya, who was standing there cleaning his teeth with a toothpick, exclaimed, "There, look there, inside that slit in the pandal flap, the straw matting," pointing to the cook, Babu Bhatta, who was stretched out there snoring, quite unaware of all that was happening near him. So when Akku was questioning about her husband, about the whereabouts of husband, this Vasu Chikkapaya, in a funny manner, shows towards the cook, saying that, "This Babu Bhatta is your husband." Banu Chiki came with a doll in her hand, threw it in front of Akku, saying, "Your husband? No one saw when he came. Akku, Akku," he was calling repeatedly in a loud voice. "I brought him here." Akku's shrieks did not cease. As the screaming rose higher, so did the laughter. See, everybody were making fun of Akku's acts. They started mocking at her and, instead of understanding her situation. A cheeky shorty, a lad named Satyamani, ran up to Babu Bhatta. "Babu Bhatta, they say you are Akku's husband," he said, biting his tongue on a snigger. Ayaba hits to her. "She will separate my limbs and stuff then in the stove." So this is the cook's response, because everybody were showing Babu Bhatta as informing Akku that Babu Bhatta is your husband. When one of the boy informs that the people in the village or who have gathered in the wedding ceremony are informing that you are Akku's husband, then he himself is shocked. He say, "If I am her husband, she will separate my limbs and stuff them in the stove." So he is using terminologies related to cooking. "She might even trade me for a handful of puffed rice. It wouldn't be surprising," retorted Babu Bhatta. The laughter rose to a pitch of intoxication. In the meantime, the man called Tamanaya, dark as a piece of charcoal, sitting leaning against the wall, cutting a piece of aracanet and observing all the drama taking place up to now, got up and came near. As one used to acting female roles in Yakshagana shows, he swayed alluringly, flourished his arm, thumped his breast, saying in a shrill voice, "Dearest, I am the man called your husband. I have come. What service I am to tender?" So even this person, Tamanaya, also starts making fun of this Akku. Okay, he is known for playing roles of women in dramas, and he portrays himself as Akku's husband. He asks, "What service do you need from me?" He asked theatrically, sniggering and stealing a look around at those assembled nearby. On that instant, Akku leapt on him like lightning and beat him hard. So this was Akku's reaction. The moment this Tamanaya said that I'm going to that I am your husband, she pounces on him and bites him. Okay, so I will stop at this. It's time. "I am the man, your husband. I have come. What service?" Then she says, on that instant, Akku leapt on him like the lightning and beat him hard.